please introduce yourself.
My name is Victoria Bernhardt. I am 55 years old. I am the tail end of the baby boomers, and my parents were the beginning. I was born in 1963. I'm a trial lawyer, and I have been a trial lawyer for 27 years.
Thank you. So today I'm going to ask you a little bit about the newspaper. So my first question for you is, what did the newspaper mean to you before news on the internet?
That's a good one. The newspaper. First of all, I was a college student for a very long time, till I was 28 years old. So that was in 1991. And that was about the time that the internet came up, but we didn't get news that way at that time. I don't know really where I got my news. I got my news on TV. That is where I got my news. I didn't get it in the written form. I didn't get on the internet. So before that, just got my news on TV.
Thank you. Now, did you find newspapers valuable then? Why or why not?
No. First of all, I grew up all around the world. And growing up all around the world, you just kind of get news where you get it, and definitely not the newspaper. I lived in foreign countries. I lived in Cuba, I lived in Japan, and so no. I didn't live in the United States a whole lot, but some. And my parents didn't buy the paper, so no, that we didn't get it that way. But, maybe this is premature, I love the newspaper. Even now, I subscribe to the newspaper, but that's another story, perhaps.
Now, let me ask you this. Have you abandoned a printed paper for online news?
Oh, absolutely not. Well, no, the answer is no.
Why?
Well, two things. One, I really do like the physical touch of paper. I also think if something shows up, I feel like whether it's mail, whether it's a magazine, or it's a newspaper, I have it, I must read it. If I get something like we do these days by internet, whether it be an email with something attached or otherwise, you kind of read it when you can kind of get to it, but sometimes you just delete it because you go, I don't have the time. How many people throw away a piece of paper?
Thank you for that. Now, how do you get your news now? Is it primarily through the newspaper, or is it also on TV and the internet?
For me, being a busy trial lawyer, I still get the newspaper, but I have reduced it to Thursdays to Sunday at the Fresno Bee. I don't have a whole lot of time to get much more than that at my house. I don't have a lot of extra time. Because I do think it takes extra time. Take a piece of paper, open it up, skim through it. I like it, but I feel it's a leisurely activity. I get a lot of news clips online, just an email sent to me for this or for that, and I can go into that. So I will do that. But my problem with that is, am I getting it from where I want it? So I will get it that way. The third way, the final way, is on what I've noticed of recent is my iPhone will give me alerts, whether it be from a local news station, from the Fresno Bee, from otherwise. I just don't have a lot of spare time to spend on that, so I try to minimize it. But I will get those, and it's online.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you watch the news on TV nowadays?
Yes, but not exactly contemporaneously when it happens.
Can you elaborate on that?
I can't. I DVR the nightly news because I'm not home when it happens. I think when we grew up, our parents had the news happen at 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock. I take the news I want and I DVR it and I do watch it.
Now, let me ask you this. How do you determine which news source to trust?
That's a good point. Probably by consuming. I'm a news consumer, and I filter multi levels of where I believe is accuracy and not. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. Now, let me ask you this. Do you find that on your Facebook feed or other social media feeds that you may be on, that you do find news-like articles on them? If so, do you trust them?
On Facebook, no, I pass through everything.
Why is that?
It's random. Who knows the source? It's kind of like, what's that? What is that one where everybody can contribute to it?
A page?
And Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
It's like, it started out really great, but as a trial lawyer, I'm a consider the source kind of girl. So you do have to consider the source. And you know what? I don't really like it because you do get, and I get this, just various news feeds, not that I have a lot of time, but I go, oh, doesn't that kind of sound interesting? And sure enough, you know what will happen? I will read something and I go, I don't think so. So I don't really consider this, whatever I hear is absolute gospel.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Grace Bernhardt. I am a student at Fresno City College. I am 19 years old, and I believe I classify as a millennial.
Could you please tell me, did you ever get news from a source other than the internet?
I don't think so. On an occasion, I would see the newspaper lying around, and I would see like the front page. If I was in it, I would read it. If I wasn't, I probably wouldn't. So no, I would primarily stick to the internet or the TV.
Did your parents ever encourage you to read the newspaper for reading purposes?
Oh, absolutely. But I never listened.
Did you ever, growing up, have to, as an assignment, perhaps at school, review the newspaper to provide information?
I don't recall a time where I ever had to look at the newspaper. A lot of the times they would say, go home, watch this TV show, talk about how advertising, how you see the split screens and how things move really fast, things like that. But I would never have to read the newspaper for an assignment.
Think about the first age you were when you got news from any source that you remember, perhaps an election.
It would probably be on the TV. I don't have a vivid memory of the first time I ever experienced news, but I do remember waking up every morning, getting ready for school, elementary years, and my parents would have the television on in the morning, Good Morning America, all these different shows, waking people up with news about what's going on in the world.
So how do you get most of your news now?
Primarily, I would say online. I do watch various nightly news shows. I would consider them more opinionated than opinions rather than facts and news. I enjoy watching shows like Hannity or The Ingram Angle. However, I have learned to realize that I need to be able to compare them to other shows on the other side of the political spectrum to get just a fair view about what's really happening.
So how do you determine which news sources to trust?
Like I said before, comparing one highly right-wing, politically inclined news network to a very left-wing implied news network, comparing them together to see where do they align? Are they portraying the information truly? That's mainly how I figure out what's true and what's not true.
With respect to online, is it something that you seek out, or is it something in a source that feeds to you, such as a Facebook, an automatic push through? whatever they call it these days.
I would say primarily if I'm on Facebook scrolling through, I'll see someone that shared maybe an ABC 30 link or a Fresno B link, and I'll click on it, open it up, see what it's about. Usually if it's longer than I would say about this big on the screen, I probably won't read it. If it's a video less than 2 minutes, I'll probably watch it, but it has to be something that really catches my eye.
I have a question for you, Grace.
Sure.
Where do you think news is going to go from here?
I think it's primarily going to be online. I think, unfortunately for the newspaper industry and those involved in it, I believe that will turn into an e-form, e-newspaper, bulletins, things like that. I do know that some people like the Fresno Bee are opening up online publications, which I think is very, very smart. However, I don't think that people will pay for that information just because we're so used to having online information for free and disposable at our fingertips. I don't think it's something that people will pay for unless they're required to.
Thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate your views.
Thank you.